Okay, welcome to part 1 of the SimplyMaya Surfing with the Alien tutorial. We're going to jump straight in and we're going to get on with bringing in some images through our image planes so we can get going with the model. So we're going to go down to our front view here, go to View, open that out, Image Plane and Import Image. And my project's already set, so it's already going to take us to the right folder. So I want the alien front small.jpg, and there's our character. So I'm just going to open that up and leave that like that for now. And we're going to do the same thing for the side view. So import image, and go to side, and open that up as well. Now before I carry on, I just want to make you aware of something here. I'm just going to get rid of the two image planes before we carry on. Let's just cameras, and let's just get rid of those two guys. Now when you start doing image planes and things like that, what I've noticed is that when you start a new window, or you've got your views up like this and you decide to just muck around with the camera, what can happen is it can resize your image plane. So if we go to View, Image Plane, Import Image, and go to Front, okay, so now he's filling up that amount of space. So now if I go to the side view, Image Plane, Import Image, and go to Side, he's actually a lot smaller because I haven't moved the camera. Okay, so be aware of that. So when doing a new set of image planes, if you just make sure that when you do it, that you don't move your cameras until you're ready to start editing other stuff. So image plane, import image, so we go front. Okay, so we'll leave that there like that for now, and we'll go same again, import image and side, and open that up. So now if I jump into the perspective view, we can see that both image planes are the same size. The camera distance has had no effect because we've left it where it is. Okay, so what we need to do now we can move our camera around, and same with the side view as well. And what we're going to do is select the camera, okay, image plane 1, and we're just going to go to, there we go, it's already there, good. We're going to go to center, and what we're going to do, we're going to bring this up in the y-axis. So let's put in 10 for now. Okay, so what do we want? Another 3, 4. Okay, so put 4, another 4 in, so that should sit on the grid. So I was just looking at how many units that was sitting down. So we've moved that up 14 units. So that is now sitting pretty much, his feet are sitting pretty much on the x-axis. And the other thing we want to do is move him along and get him centered up as well in the y. So I'm just going to reduce the alpha gain so we can see through the image and line him up with the center of the world axis there. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same again, back down to center, and this time using control and dragging in the value input window. I'm just going to move that across. Okay, like so. And what we'll do, we'll just zoom in ever so slightly, we'll just center that up a little bit more. Okay, and then I'd say about there, between the eyes, is about right. And then we'll just zoom out, have another look. We can see there's a few little discrepancies with the shorts and the toe, but I mean that's nothing we can't deal with while we're building the model. But obviously this is just concept art, so it's not going to be super perfect. So we'll carry on. So let's just scroll up and put our alpha gain back to 1, and then we'll jump in and do the same with the side view. Just reduce the opacity on the alpha gain, jump down, I believe that was 14, and there we go, it's exactly where we need it. Now we'll just put that to 0 and 0. Don't like all those minus bits and pieces on the front of those values there, so just keep it all nice and tidy. It's probably a bit OCD there, but that's just me trying to keep my scene all in order. Okay, so excuse me. So we just want to move off these camera planes just off to the side here and off to the side on here. So I'm just going to keep that one selected, and we're just going to, oops, let's do that back to 0, and we'll move that all the way over to there. I'm just holding down the control and I'm just dragging across there, and then we'll just marquee select that one, and we'll do the same with that. So there we go. So that's the camera plane set up. Excuse me. And now what we're going to do, we're going to do a basic block out for the whole character. Over the next sort of 2 or 3 chapters, we'll start blocking them in and adding the extra detail, stuff like that. And then we'll start building the clothing and the little sort of bits of surfer decoration, if you like, and his cigarette, stuff like that. So yeah, as I said, first of all, what we're going to do, we're going to block this out for this section. We're not going to worry about hands and feet at all. We're just going to get the main sort of geometry in place before we start heading off doing those bits. So let's jump in to our front view, and I'm going to go to create polygon cube, and there we go. You can just about see that just pop down there in the window, and I'm just going to move that up to around there, so you can see that just there. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back into my perspective view, and I'm just going to start to move things around a little bit. Okay, like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that face, and we're going to start off with building this arm area and the shoulders, like so. Okay, so like this. I did, for those of you who've looked at some of the SimplyMaya tutorials before, some of you may have come across the Chef Ramsay tutorial. I did a very similar thing with the arm setup for that in that tutorial. So this is going to be a very similar sort of thing to set that up. Okay, so what we have here, let's just jump in there, frame that. Okay, so this is going to be the shoulder area, and what we're going to do, we're going to make another couple of cuts in here, and we're going to extrude the arm out of the bottom of this once we've got a little bit more shape to this as well. So I'm just going to grab the edge loop tool, put another one in there, and we're going to begin a little tiny bit of shaping, like so, and then we'll grab those there. Whoops. I'm just going to squeeze that ever so slightly. Whoops, got a little bit of a kink in there, so that's better. Okay, and what I will do is just pull that and pull that one there just for now. Okay, so now what we need to do is select these two guys just under here. So I can grab that one, thank you. Get rid of that, we don't need that. Okay, and what we're going to do is extrude the arm out from here. But first of all, we're going to go like this, and we're just going to pull that down ever so slightly, like so. And then again, do another one, and we'll pull that out. Okay, so you can see where that's going already. So if we just jump into our front view, so this is going to be this sort of area all around here, the sort of the shoulders and stuff. And what I'm going to do now, just going to squeeze that ever so slightly there, and I'm going to switch to our vertex, and I'm going to pull the whole thing up and round and do a little bit of shaping, just to get it all into position. So it's probably a little bit extreme there. Let's go back a bit. Okay. Okay, and like so. And now we can just start to pull this around a little bit more, just to get it to sort of line up with our character. I'll leave that there like that for now. In fact, we'll snap that to the grid there. So we've got that at the moment, and we'll start moving this stuff as well. So again, this probably seems a little bit tedious, but I think it's important that you see this sort of area, and one of the easy ways to build it, really. This is probably one of the best ways I've learnt over the years to do shoulders and stuff. And then you can just start to move everything around like so. Okay, so we're going to jump all the way here. So I'm just going to push that back ever so slightly, and I'm going to extrude that out like so. So there's that one there, and I'll do another one, and we're going to scale this one this time just a little bit, and again do another extrusion, and we'll just scale that down like so. So we just jump into our perspective, see where we're at. So we're looking pretty good. Okay, now before we delve any deeper, what I'm going to do is just going to shape this up ever so slightly under here, and then we're going to add a little twist to the forearm as well for the geometry. So we're going to just grab these guys at the moment. Okay, and I'm just going to squeeze those out. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, squeeze those in just to give them a bit more shape. And we'll grab that, and we'll just pop that there for now. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. And what we'll do is just give that a slight squeeze as well there. Okay, so we're going to put that forearm twist in, I just mentioned a minute ago. So the first one, you want to grab these guys just at the front here, and with the V key pressed, hopefully, whoops, sorry, I beg your pardon, the J key pressed, you should rotate that at around 45 degrees for that first section there. And then what we'll do is finish that off for the end piece, and that should be about there. In fact, it should be there, that's the one. Okay, so that should leave that fairly straight on the end there. Okay, and then what we'll do from that is we'll extrude the wrist, and then we'll sort of straighten things out so we can get that all into a nice order for when we come to create the hand. So I'm just going to do one more extrude from that, like so, and then we'll begin to give this a bit more of a rotation. So I'm just going to do that now through there, and then the rest we'll just get that bit of a tickle there, always think as well it's worth in this early stage to keep things fairly tidy so you haven't got to come back and clear up a mess later on when you're sort of 3/4 of the way through your model. It's always a good time to do it at this early stage. So despite this being a sort of more of a blocking out section, I still think it's imperative to just go around and give it a bit of a tickle. Just move that there. Okay, so I think for now that's good, and then we'll cover the hands and stuff like I said in the next section. So I'm just going to carry on extruding down the body for this. So I've just selected the lower part of that chest there. Okay, and we're going to do another extrude. Let's just centre that up. Okay, I'm just going to bring that right down to the waist. It's probably a little bit too far. And I'm going to jump into the side view. As you can see here, we're way off our model's sort of centre for the arms and stuff, so just going to move that stuff back to around there, and then I'm going to grab those verts to about there, and I'm going to pop in another edge loop, and again just going to begin to shape this guy up a bit more. And we'll just bring that chest out as well, just to give a bit more shape. And we'll just tuck this one back, and that one there. I don't think the back's too bad at the moment, but we'll just squeeze that ever so slightly. Okay. And again, we'll just jump into the front and just give that a little bit more shape to deal with, like so. Okay, so I think we're in a good spot. Okay, so you can see how the edge loops are going to flow, stuff like that. So we're just going to pull this around, just give it a bit of a tidy. Around there, I think, and we'll just pop that up just for the shoulders at the back there. So that's all pretty good. Okay, so we're going to continue carrying on. We're going to go down to the sort of the crotch area and then extrude out the leg, and then we'll come back up and sort the head area out as well. Okay, so let's grab that lower face and we'll do an extrude down there. I'm just going to pop that to around there where the crotch of the area of the shorts sort of finishes. So I think that's sort of a good place. And then I'm just going to jump into the verts. I'm just going to pull that back up and just shape his waist a little bit more, like so. Okay. And then I'm going to add an edge loop about there, and again I'm just going to grab the verts there, and we're going to grab the face where the beginning of the hip will be, and we're just going to extrude this pretty much straight down, and I'll just flatten that out as well, like so. And we'll just, whoops, get that to about there, and we'll just give this guy a little bit of shape, and then we'll go back to the knee and we'll just extrude that down, so. I'll pop another edge loop in there very shortly, and then we'll just all the way down, checking there where the ankle is as well. I'm just going to move everything back. So we need to get our vertex and W. We'll just move this all back, and we'll just begin to shape this all out as well now. So as you can see from there, and then there. Okay, so we need to put in a couple of loops. Let's do that one first. And my image plane has disappeared from the side view. Well, it looks like a... oh, there we go. It's decided to come back. Now we'll just bulge out the knee area. I think we'll just put in a couple more loops. I do apologise for the graphics card there, just giving me a little bit of hassle. Not too sure why, it's not done that before. Okay, so let's just move this around ever so slightly as well, and we'll jump into the front view. And what I'll do is we'll add another loop just there as well. And we'll just undo that. I'm just going to move that back over. Not sure if they're supposed to be aligned. Yes, they are. Okay, so we'll just scale those back together. And again, just while we're blocking this out, I'm just going to do that very roughly there. And then let's grab that. What I'll do is just going to pop that there, and then we'll grab the face on the bottom of that, just so we'll have an area for our ankle. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that just there for now. So as you can see, it's all coming into shape already. We haven't really done much. So what I'm going to do, so that's already there. Okay, so I think now what we can do is just quickly check our shapes on here. Okay, so we'll just pull that forward ever so slightly, and I think what we could do is another loop or two just around there. I think just pull one in there, and again, my lovely graphics card doing me no favours. So that's better. I'm happy with that. That's good. So we'll just tweak these little bits here just to make sure everything It's looking pretty good. And I think we'll just pop that up a little bit. So really, it's just blocking out really, it's just all cubes and sort of shape, really just to get it all going. And I'm going to grab the top faces there now, and we're going to extrude that up to begin making our neck area. In fact, what we'll do, we'll scale that in like so. I'm not going to worry about these for now, or this poly here, because we're going to come back to that anyway. So I'm just going to push these around. This is just really blocking it out very roughly. And we're going to do another extrude. Now we're just going to take that up. That's better. That's what I wanted. That's the kind of shape. And these bits we'll get rid of anyway. Like so. It's about there. Let's just see how we're doing. That's pretty good. Now we'll just give that a little bit of shape. Let's push that down, and then we'll put another loop just there, and we'll just pull that across like so. So we're starting to see this guy appear now. There we go, that's not too bad. And just nip into my side view and see what I can see. Okay. And we'll just start to shape this up a bit more. And we'll just grab pop that up a bit more. Okay, so looking pretty good there. And again, just going to extrude all this stuff up. And we'll just move this forward. And we'll do an extrude for the front, just here. Let's just line that up a bit better, that's it. As you can see, it's nothing very good at the moment in the front view. And we'll go back and we'll just start putting some bits around like so. It's not bad, and then we'll just grab the faces from there and we'll extrude those back as well. Whoops, and let's just center that up like so. And then go and grab some verts and just pop this all into place like so. And what I will do in the next section, what we'll do, we'll detach the neck from the head so we can pull that out, and we'll start adding some extra geometry on the underside of that anyway. And what we'll do first of all is just put a loop in there just to see where the eyes will be. Yeah, that's through there, so that's pretty good. Okay, and then if we just jump into our side view, I've lost my camera again, so I will get that sorted out for the next part anyway. There we go. Let's just pull that right out there. In fact, what I'll do, I'll detach the head now from here. Okay, that's done already. The way you can extract that or detach is if you go to polygons, edit mesh, and if you go to mesh and extract, you can do it from there. So then that will detach the faces from whatever part of the mesh you want to get rid of. It's fairly straightforward. And now what you need to do is delete the history on both parts, because you'll get a little bit of build up anyway. We will have done from all the extruding and stuff that we've been doing. I'm just going to harden those edges, and again get rid of some history. So that's what we've got so far. And what we're going to do, just going to jump into my front view and add another loop, and then I'm just going to drag that one down because I'm going to use that as a sort of a guide area for where the mouth will be. And we can just grab some more verts, just move these around ever so slightly like so. That's pretty good. I'll just move those up for the eye center, and that will give us a good starting point for the rest of the facial features when we come to do those. So again, just blocking that out. Like so. And we'll just grab and pull that forward. So what we'll do, we'll extrude some geometry and then reattach all that later on. Okay, so that's really the basic blocking out of our character. For the next section, I'll just delete all those inside from the crotch all the way out to the sort of head area. We'll get rid of those extra faces, and then in the next section we can start using instanced geometry so we can carry on and watch the other side develop as we work on one side. Okay, so we'll leave that section there for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers for now. Okay, welcome to part 2. In this section we're going to be covering the beginning of the hands and the fingers, and then the next chapter we'll look at the feet, and then we'll start on with the head in the following chapter after that, because I think these particular parts need sections of their own, so we can look at them individually and you can get to sort of break them down without being bombarded with this and then that and then this. So we're going to zoom straight in and concentrate on the wrist area. So off we go. So okay, so from the last chapter we left it here, and what we need to do is just quickly sort of square up this geometry just a little bit, and then what we're going to do, we're going to add another little piece of geo in there for now, before we move on to extruding out the main fingers and the thumb. So what we're going to do first is, just like I said, we're just going to tidy this up like so. Just get it all a bit squarer. Just keep it all square for now, just while we're working on it, and then we can shape it afterwards. And we'll just bring those up. And what I think we can do is just scale those there like that, just so they meet across the axis there. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to tweak that there a little bit more, and what I'll do is just bring those up as well, and we'll just nip into the front view, just have a look, see where we are, and just have a look on the wire. And what I'm going to do is just take that back a little bit more, and the same with that there, and we'll just widen that as well. Okay, like so. And we'll just pull that down ever so slightly and move this guy across. There we go. And just give that a little bit of shape. Okay, so what we need to do now is we're going to extrude out the actual palm itself. So we're going to grab the two front polys like so, and we're going to go to the front there, to the front view, beg your pardon, and we're just going to extrude those out like so. We'll do one there and another one there. Okay, so you should have something that resembles that. So this will be the sort of more wrist area, which we'll shape again afterwards anyway. And then one area is going to be for where our thumb is going to sit, which will be sort of more there, so the thumb will extrude downwards from there. But first of all, we need to extrude some fingers out. So we're just going to do one at a time. We're going to make one actually, and then we're going to dupe that across, and then sew that back on, and then we'll use the same one for the thumb, and then just delete a little bit of geometry here and there. Okay, so just going to push that back. I'll just drop that down just a little bit more. Let's see where we're at. Let's just pull that back up. Okay, so we're going to grab that one, and we're going to extrude that once, twice, and then before we do the next one, we're just going to move this one down. Actually, no, we won't. I think we need one more. Let's do a third one. Yeah, that's better. So we'll move that down, and we can just move these back ever so slightly, and push this one forward. Oops. Okay, and this is going to be the area for the nail. Okay, so you should have something very similar to this. And what I'm going to do is just going to squeeze the end of that ever so slightly, just so it's up a little bit. Just push that towards there, and then what we're going to do is start shaping this now to resemble more of a finger. At the moment it's a bit human, so we're just going to bulk it out a little bit. I think what we'll do if we leave that like that, and then what we'll do if we go back and we'll add a division there and a division there, one there and one there, and another two sort of around there for now. Okay, and we'll just grab these and we'll just push them up to around the center knuckle for the finger. I'm just going to push these forwards and give these a little bit more sort of space, and we'll just pull those apart. As you can see, I'm building everything sort of straight for now, but we'll come to block out, or fill in the details rather, because it's just really blocking out, as I said before. We'll fill the details in a little bit later on down the line, so there you go. Okay, and then what we want to do is get rid of that face. We'll delete that like so. Okay, and then let's just push this guy forward, and we'll give that a small crease just there. Okay, and then let's just push that up a little bit more like so, and then what we can do is switch to our faces, and what we'll do, we're going to extrude the nail out just a little bit on this one. So we're going to extrude that so there and there, and then what we'll do another one, bring that up and rotate that back into there like so. So you'll end up with something a bit nasty like that for now, until we start adding the extra geometry. Okay, it'll all make sense anyway. Let's just pop that back, and we'll grab these edges and just round those off ever so slightly. Okay, and now what we can do is we can add a couple of loops. The first one we'll do there, and then just scale that, just give this a little bit of shape. If we jump in our top view and have a look, I think the whole sort of thing needs a bit more of a tickle, just to get it to pop a bit more before we start adding more geometry. So I'm just going to grab those two as well. I'm just going to bring those out ever so slightly. Okay, we're giving those sort of cartoony fat alien fingers. Okay, like so. And I'm just going to push that down just a little bit more there. That's better. Okay, so now what we need to do is we're going to extract this one now, and we're going to duplicate this for the other finger. Okay, so I'm just going to detach that, so that's done, and delete the history. Now just going to move that across like so. We're going to grab the verts on here and here, because obviously the hand's going to need a bit of shape and stuff as well. So we'll start sorting all that out very shortly as well, because we're going to need to do the thumb. So I'm just going to pull that across and grab this guy. Okay, like so. And we'll just rotate him. And first of all, we're going to duplicate him, so he can then become our thumb. Okay. So I'm just going to grab that. Just get these to line up ever so slightly. And then before I do that, just going to run some edge loops across here. Just give those a little bit of roundness there. And same with this one. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll just rotate this round. And then we'll move him into position. And first of all, what I think we need to do is just cut out a little bit of geometry. Just pop that there, and then grab that edge. So we're just going to sort of stick in the geometry here for the thumb as it comes off from the sort of the base of the palm area, just around here, and then we'll move the geometry around a little bit just so it's got a better shape there. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just going to extrude that bit down like so. I'll get rid of that. Now we'll just widen the thumb a bit more, because the thumb has some strange sort of dimensions. Anyway, if you look at your own, you'll see the upper bone. It's almost like a double joint almost, because it comes off the bottom of the palm as well, and the knuckles for it are just placed slightly different. So just check your own out, and you should be able to judge afterwards about where everything should be positioned. So I'm just going to V-snap these points into position like so. Okay. then what we'll do is we'll combine those, delete some history. I'm just going to show the border edges so you can see the thickness of where the thumb isn't actually joined. So if you just watch around these edges here, you can see that's gone thicker, so those verts need joining up. There we go, that's done. Like so, and then what I want to do is I'm just going to bend these and twist these around a little bit. Let's grab that, and let's get D and V just to snap that to that area there. There we go, and then we'll just move that back and we'll push it out a bit more. Like so, and we'll give that a little bit of room just along there. I'm not too comfortable with that. There we go. So if you look at your own thumb, when you point it down, you can see it actually does face towards you. If you hold your hand out, you can see the thumbnail quite clearly. So what you can do is put a twist in it and just move it over a bit, and then just start playing around and getting that geometry into place. As you can see, like so. It's looking pretty good. I'm pleased with that so far. And we'll just round out a few of these bits and pieces along here. And what we need to do is run an edge loop through there, like so. And what we'll do, we'll do these a bit at a time. Just pull the shape, give it a little bit more form. And just grab those. Okay. So then we'll just pull that out. So we get something like that. And then we can start to move these bits of geometry around for the fingers. And I think what we'll do, we'll just widen them ever so slightly, and what I'll do is just push these back a little bit as well, so we can put an angle on those fingers. We'll just turn those around like so. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just basically tweaking so we get a good position for the fingers to sit, and then we'll stitch those straight back on, like so. Okay, so there, and combined. And then again, what we'll do, press in our points, V key, and just snap those all back into place, like so. You can see the edge border where the thickness is, or the border edge rather, where you can see it's not joined yet. And what we'll have to do is add some geometry as well, just to tidy things up through here. Okay. So we'll just start to merge the verts like so. These won't merge at the moment because there's geometry missing from here, which we'll deal with shortly. Okay, so okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run some geo there with the split poly tool, which you can find in Edit Mesh, Split Polygon Tool. I've already got a shelf shortcut just up here, so I'm just going to do W, V and snap that, V and snap that, and then we'll merge those together and those together as well. And under here, first of all, what we'll do, put some quads back into the object like so. I always try and build my models without any tries if I can help it. Just keeps it clean. Especially in sort of the more, if you come to rig this, especially in the more deforming areas, you know, you want to keep it as clean as possible as well. So there we go with that, and we'll just pull that up ever so slightly. Okay, and then what we want to do is begin to add some geometry around here. Now what we need to do is get some form on the fingers and thumbs still, so we have to watch out where all the geometry directs itself along the body. So I think what we'll need to do is do some of it with the split poly tool, and then we can start sort of joining up areas later on. So we're going to do this all by hand at the moment, so I'm just going to go in with the split poly tool again, and I'm just going to run this loop pretty much just to there for now. Because what we can do, we can come round, we can spin a few faces on the arms and then get the geometry to come back on itself, which will be good, so then it will close off an entire loop, but we'll deal with that later on. Okay, so that one's joined up as well now, so that's nice. So all we want to do now is this one around the thumb. So again, split poly, I'm not using the insert edge loop tool because I don't want it to go running off and sort of getting lost down the line later. So I'll take the more manual approach to this for now, just while we are sort of putting the building blocks together. And we'll trot that one there. Actually, we can deal with those and pop that there. See there, I can terminate that there for now, and then later on have a look at sort of dealing with the muscles under the arms, which we can do. So we'll just begin to just shape these out now, and again just going to adjust some forms and stuff like that. just so it all looks a bit more organic. Okay. So we can now begin to see all of this take shape. We still need to run some loops just around and up and round here, so I think we can do that. Let's just check where that's going to go. That's actually going to work out quite well because I want it to go down the side of the body as well. So for now we will actually run an automatic edge loop like so. There we go. That's run around quite well actually, which is a good thing, which is what I actually did want it to do. So that's worked out quite well because I wanted the shape here, stuff like that. So that's worked out really nicely, just to finish those off on there. So now we can just go in and shape all this stuff up. And we might be able to join those up as well, that would always help. Okay, like so. And we'll just merge those verts. There we go, so let's close that off nicely. So this area here, I'm just going to tweak a little bit more just to get that fleshy bit onto the thumb. Let's just grab that and we'll push that across like so, and the same for that, and we'll just shape out all of that again. I think what we can do with that one is just bring that in. And again, I just need to start pulling these out just a bit more. Let's just grab that. Oops, grab more than one. So let's just pop that back, that's better. And what we can do with the thumb as well actually is we can just make it a little bit wider. So if you look at your thumbnail, most people's thumbnails are quite wide, and then we'll just round that off like so. And let's just center this stuff up as well. Okay, so just pop in all that, and what I think we can do is actually lose that loop there. So if we get rid of that, that's a bit better, and we'll just run that edge back to there just to optimize that space a little bit more. Okay, so let's just grab these verts. So again, lots of shaping to do. As I said before, it's really best to do it at this early stage you know, so you haven't got to worry about it later on. See, I'm not, although we've got an adequate amount of polys. I mean, if this was, you know, if you decided to subdivide this for your own needs, you know, and then go in and tweak, you know, you could be in a lot of trouble. So it's just one of those things that's worth bearing in mind, really. And let's just get some shape on this. Okay, and a bit more on here. Okay, so as you can see, it's all coming together. I'm not going to do the fingers. What I'll do those in the interim between episodes, and then what we can do is we can go in and we'll begin on the feet on the next one. I won't do all, as I said, I won't do all the fingers on this one, so it will just bore you to tears. I think that's shown you a good way to do the fingers. Yeah, it's a very similar way to how I do a standard hand. Obviously we just had to reroute polys and stuff like that to allow just for the 3 fingers instead of the usual 5, and this is working out quite well as well, with the geometry running very nicely through the arms and up around the neck area. So we'll be able to shape all this and stuff on the way, and I think we'll end this section here, and the next section we'll start on the feet. Again, we'll be using 3 toes for this one, and I will shape this up so it's all nice and tidy. I won't change any geometry because we've got an adequate amount there. If anything, I'll add some in that next chapter just to finish everything off. So I'll see you in part 3. Cheers for now. Okay, so part 3, here we are. As I said in the last section, I'll round out the fingers and stuff like that. So there we go, they're all done, all nice and round. The rest of the body at the moment is still fairly square, but what we'll do is once we've got the foot done and the head done, then we can go in, we'll start tweaking everything and round it out, make it look nice. But for this section, we're just going to crack on with the foot. So just going to grab some verts and jump into my side view. Okay, and I'm just going to pull these down to about there, and then what we need to do is just shape the leg ever so slightly, like so. Just get everything sort of balanced out a little bit better. Let's just push that forward, and there as well. Okay, and what we need to do is we're going to put in a little bit more geometry there. I think it's for around there, I think, and then just jump back in to our perspective, and we're going to grab some faces, or one face at this moment in time, and we're just going to extrude this out, just make sure that's centered, and just do this, and then we'll just push that back to about there. Then we'll grab that, push that down, and now we can just get the top of that sort of foot area, and the same with the center here. We'll just grab and run that through just to get everything all nice and tidy. So I think let's just push that up a bit more around that area. Okay, so that's got a better shape to it now. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to add 3 toes, and at the moment we can't really do that because we don't have the geometry there. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to widen this area ever so slightly, and this one here as well. We're just going to push that to about there. Actually, let's push that back a bit more, just so we've got that kind of angle that you get with your toes. If you have a look at your own toes, they're quite sort of sloped and a bit strange in some way. And then we're going to grab that front face And we're just going to extrude that forward once again, like so. Okay. And then let's just grab this edge, drop that back a bit, and then what we're going to do is just push that in, and then what we're going to do, we're going to grab this face like so, and we're going to extrude this guy out. Okay, so that probably looks a little bit odd, but as you'll see, if we shape it up a little bit more, it'll actually all sort of start to make sense. So let's just move that to about there, and we'll just push that forward ever so slightly. Okay, like so. And we'll just move that just a bit more there. Okay, so now what we need to do is make 3 toes, and all we need to do, which is really cool, is just put an edge loop split all the way through there. Okay, and that gives us not only the split for the toes, but it'll also give us the extra geometry we need to round the front and the back of the character out later on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just tidy this geo up a little bit here, and then what we're going to do is just tidy these bits, and this bit here I think we can do there as well. That can sort of act as the sort of ball area almost for our foot there. Okay, and I'm just going to round it out ever so slightly, not too much because we've got to fit the toes on first. Okay, so I'd say about there for now. That should do us. Okay, so we'll just leave that there for now, and then I'm going to grab this front face here, and hopefully it should extrude. There we go. Like so. Then we'll do another one. Oops, let's go back, so it's not very straight at all. Okay. So we'll extrude that out. Let's just make that straight, that's better. And there we go. And we'll do another one. And then this time we'll grab that edge like so, and then we'll grab this one and we'll extrude this one out as well. Okay, and what we'll do, we'll bring that up just a little bit, and then we'll move. Actually, what we'll do is we'll put in 2 more edge loops, put one there and one there. That we can move that up a bit more, and just round these out ever so slightly, like so. So you can now see the beginning of our toe. Okay, and then we'll just tweak this back a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is going to make the nail. So like we did with the finger, just going to do an extrude like so. Then we'll do another one. Bring that up, push it forward, and roll that back. then back down and in a bit, and let's just tweak that ever so slightly. There we go, so it's not too bad. Still very square at the moment. We do need to add the extra geometry, but what I'm going to do first is get rid of that, just there and there. Okay, like so, and then I'm going to detach the toe. Okay, and delete history. So now I'm going to work on the toe independent of the actual foot, because we'll be adding geometry and stuff a little bit later as we go. We'll just get the toes and everything done around the foot, because we'll need to run edge loops up and over either side of these toes, so it's not too bad. And then we have plenty more of geometry to play with to shape the rest of the body. Okay, so without me continuing to ramble, we shall get this toe nicely shaped, like so. We'll get a bit of shape in there, and again we'll do a little bit here, like so. Okay, and then what we need to do is we'll run one through there as well, so then that can be rounded out slightly, and we can grab this, just push these in ever so slightly as well, and we can grab that top of that, and if we can just grab these as well. Okay, and then just round that back into there, like so, and then we're going to begin to tweak all this area. Probably lower that a little bit, it's probably a little bit high. There we go, that's better. It's probably a bit more too human there. That's better. Let's just tweak that a bit more. Let's just pull these around. And there we go. So that's our basic toe. And let's just give a bit more shape to the knuckle. Let's just pull that forwards. Just round it out as we go. You can see what difference it's made already just from adding a few edge loops. And let's just round this toe off. Okay, and then we'll just run another loop there just to balance everything out. And what we can do as well, just grab these verts on the edge just to smooth this toe out. And we'll just raise those up just a little bit. If we hit 3 on the keyboard, you can see the sort of shape we're getting, which is pretty good. I do want to just make that a little bit more sort of chunky. Let's just round that out. And again, when you do the smooth, you have to be very careful with the amount of smooth that you do tweaks to, because it can have an adverse effect to the actual mesh underneath, as you can see there. That's a lot different to what we had a minute ago, so just be aware of that, because sometimes it can really throw your mesh out. So, but do test backwards and forwards just to see how it's going to look. Okay, so if I hit 3 again, That's not too bad. Let's just grab those. And one on the keyboard. Let's just widen that back out. Hit 3 again. That's not too bad. And then just jumping backwards and forwards at the moment. And we'll just grab that, make that look right. That's good. That's fine. So I'm happy with that toe for now. Let's just center the pivot point on that, and we're going to dupe this across. So 1 and 2. Okay. So first of all, let's scale this little guy down, or this big guy into a little guy, and then I'm just going to rotate this around to about there, and something very similar with this one. Let's just scale that up a bit more, rotate that round. Okay, like so, and then we'll just scale that guy up a bit more again. Let's just check it out, side view. Get everything lined up. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now all I'm going to do for now is just add a little bit of geometry so we can join these toes up on these parts here, and then we'll get on with rounding it out around the rest of the foot. Okay, so that's nearly done now. So this little toe, I can have those loops put in there, and we'll just run a middle loop as well around there. And these two guys, for now, we'll stick a loop there, or sorry, an edge there, and we'll do the same on the bottom, like so. And then what we can do is begin to join these guys up. So it's very simple. V on the keyboard and snap. V on the keyboard, middle mouse, and snap. And some of these we'll have to tweak in a bit as well, so just the joins between the toes really, and then this little guy on the end. Okay. Okay, so let's grab this guy, and then we'll begin to do this across here, and then there. Oops, a bit jumpy. Come on, there we go, that's that one. Good, okay. So now, let's just nip on the inside, see what we need to do. So as we can see, this big toe needs to snap to that one there, and we'll just give that a little bit of a tickle there, and then this one needs to go just up there, and again a bit of a tickle there as well. Okay, so a little bit untidy there, but it's nothing we can't sort out. So let's just go back to object mode, and we'll combine these together. I've got a shortcut on the shelf, but you can go to mesh and combine, and that should do that. And then what I like to do is run border edges. This will show me what's joined and what isn't joined between two meshes that we've just combined. So you can see there the both edges between the two objects is quite thick. So this means they're not connected at all. They might be combined, but they're not actually welded or merged, or whatever you want to call it. So what we're going to do is select those, and hopefully, let's see if we can run it globally. Yep, it's pretty good. So it's just that one there. Okay, and then that one there. So that. There we go, job done. Just check on the inside, everything's okay, good. And then we can just shape everything up, just to balance it all out. Okay, like so. And like so. Okay, so now what we can do is just go around and just shape this all up, like so. And we're going to pop these back along here. Okay. Okay, so I'm just rounding this out, just to get some form back in there, and we'll just give that a little bit of a heel, and we'll just push these up a little bit. We'll sort all this geometry out later on, but for now, this is the foot. As the rest of this, we can, once we've shaped all this up, then we'll start to join everything up accordingly. But for now, this is as far as we're really going to take it with the toes and the foot. But that's how really to start out a basic foot for the model. And let's just widen the side of this big toe as well, so there's a bit more padding on there. Okay. So let's just pop those back just a little bit. Apologise there, my computer's sticking a little bit there. Okay, so that's sort of really our basic foot outlay. Let's just pop that up there a little bit more, and we'll drop that to about there. Okay, so that pretty much concludes this little section for the foot. And what I will do, just to finish it off, I'm not going to round out too much of this because we're going to do all that in one whole section as well. What I will do is just going to add some ankles into here. So I'm going to add a little bit more geometry, which is just going to go around there, like so. And I'm just going to straighten that up just a little bit. Okay. And again, this is all subject to change once we get into more shaping. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so I'm just going to put some ankles in this area. And there. And we'll just pull that out ever so slightly for now, because we're not, as I keep saying, we're not blocking everything out right now. But I'll just do that just for this bit. Okay. And I'll put an edge loop just there for now as well. And we'll just join that there, like so. And we'll just pop in the other ankle as well. There. Like so. And that is the other ankle for now. And then we'll just move that up and pull that out. And what I do want to do is just pull this area out just a little bit. Just to differentiate one side of the foot to the other. This is the outermost part of the foot. I seem to notice quite a lot on some of the forums and stuff that do other models is that people don't tend to put in feet arches and stuff like that, especially on things like shoes, and I think it's something that's sort of goes a bit amiss, especially with the amount of detail that some people do use on some of their models, and then they go and miss little things like that, all in the name of skin pores and stuff like that while they're sculpting. So it's just one thing to be aware of. You know, we have got arches in our feet, so put them in if you can, if the model calls for it. You know, because it's usually that little bit of detail that will make or break a model. So there we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there for now. We've got a lot of tweaking to do anyway as we go along. We've got to sort these edge loops out and in accordance with the rest of it. We're going to leave that there. And the next section we're going to start blocking in all the stuff for the eyes and the mouth and stuff, and start getting that head sorted out. And then we'll start to connect everything up and start to basically get all these squareness out and getting some proper body forms and stuff like that. And then after that we can move on to a bit of clothing. So I'm going to leave that for there, and I'll see you in the next part. Cheers for now. Okay, so welcome to part 4. In this section we're going to be covering their head, and also before we do start, let's just have a quick recap. We went round in the last chapter to do the foot, and as you can see we've still got a few edges and stuff to tidy up, and also got a lot of blocking out and stuff that needs rounding off as well, so we'll get rid of that at some point along the line. And also we've already done the hand. We've used the same sort of method as we did with the foot, and also the body really does need a good rounding out, but before we do that we're going to just jump straight in. Just get rid of that history there that's still left on the body. We're going to jump straight in, and we're going to get rid of these sort of extruded polys that we've had left over from when we were creating the body. So I'm just going to get the select polygons brush tool, and we're just going to get rid of a few bits here. Let's just shrink that down a little bit more, and just run this up all the way through the neck. Okay, about there, and we want to keep that one there, so just get rid of those, which is fine. That's all good there, and of course the head, which is what we're going to be coming on to now. So this will be a good way to clean this up before we go ahead. And as you can see, we've still got all this stuff in here to fit out for the neck, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the body for this particular tutorial, and we're going to jump straight in to our front view if I can get there. There we go. And let's just hit 5 on the keyboard, see where we are. So as you can see, we need to just sort of center up the rest of the polys, or the verts there, I beg your pardon, going down the middle. And these here, this particular vert here, so we hit 4, was sort of placed sort of center, so we can begin to insert our eyes and get some more shapes and stuff done. So we're going to start blocking this out. This may go over 2 sections, we'll see how we get on with this one, but we'll try and get it all done as quickly and as neatly as possible. So I'm just going to go in and just start rounding out a few more forms. I think that's the back of the head. It is, so we'll just begin to just round this out. And our jaw is going to be this area. And what I'll do as well is just going to create, let's get a polysphere in there for an eyeball. We'll just get in there, just a replacement, and we'll jump into side view here, and we'll just rotate this guy like so. Okay, and we'll just move him forward a bit, place him around there, and we'll just pop him in to our front view, just slightly out because of our views. The concept sketches, they're not super bang on, but they're pretty good. So I'm just going to scale that to about there. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'm going to stick that on a layer, and we'll leave that like that for now. Okay, so we see what we've got to do. So we've got to bring a fair bit of this forward. So what we're going to start with is we'll cut a new loop in there, and we'll shape this out. Okay, like so. Start to push this forward. Okay, now this line here would actually be where we will insert the mouth, or make the cutout for the mouth. Let's just shape all this up as well. Okay, so this area here is going to be where our eye is going to get placed. So I'm going to do exactly what I usually do with the character stuff. And I'm just going to put one in there for the forehead, which we'll bring forward anyway very shortly. And then this one, where is it gone? My split poly tool, there it is. And what we're going to do is cut this directly there, and then we're going to just grab those faces. I'm going to get rid of those. Okay, and then let's just take that off. I'll just push this forward ever so slightly. Just going to tweak this. Let's just go into our front view, tweak that like so, and then what we can do is begin, let's put that back. Now what we can do is begin to shape the eye up in a rough way. Let's just get this blocked because of the big eye. It's a kind of a very strange shape. For those of you who've attempted to build manga characters before, you do tend to get these kind of oddities when sort of certain parts of the body are accentuated. So you have to sort of start to compensate on things and really sort of pull things around until it all sort of fits properly. So there we go, that's getting better already. And want a bit of form up here, so let's just start to round out this head completely. I think I've grabbed another, let's grab that one there, that's better. So around there. Okay. So I'll keep rounding these shapes out. So I'll just bring that one a bit more. Because the geometry is getting there now. So we can start to get a bit more of an organic shape for this particular part of our character. And there, that can all start to come up there as well. That's better. Okay. Like that, and then that one there, and we'll just bring that to about there. Okay, so I think what we can do is we'll run another one just through here, and I'll need to use the split poly tool first. Okay, like so. That one's done, and then we'll just join that back up. And then we'll just grab and slide this loop just a bit further down to about there. Now if we go to the top of the head, we can just begin to sort of widen that out a little bit more. Again, that's probably the back. So I'm going to try and keep this center. And now let's grab that. That's pretty good. Okay, so we jump into our perspective, and what I'll do is just start to add a little bit more detail so we can begin to shape this stuff up. So again, just going to pull that forward. Like so. And we'll grab this guy. Okay. Okay, that's better. Good. Let's just jump into the side view, see where we're looking. So I think that could probably come back just a little bit more, because he's got big wide eyes on this. So just going to, we've kept it that sort of cliched alien look, and also like the feature film Paul that some of you may have seen, which is very, very funny. Okay, so let's okay. Okay, so what we need to do now is begin to add a little bit more detail here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cut in the eyelid, or the eyelids, top and bottom, and I'm just going to check where we're at with alignment there. So it's not too bad. It could probably come up about there. I think the sketch is better than what we've got on the model so far. So we'll just round that out and we'll pop that back up. We'll pull these forward to about there, and this one as well. So this is the little tricky bits if you want to start to get something as extreme as this eye is. So we'll need to be very careful with what we do so it doesn't look stupid, but at the same time we need it to look quite convincing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in an edge loop like so, and we're going to push that back so that begins to create the shape of the eye even more, and again tweaking this area. As you can see on the concept work there, you can see this sort of round sort of area where the mouth is, and we'll be doing that as well. We'll be getting that sort of edge loops put in there, so we may need to edit these sort of bits and pieces here that are coming off the bottom of the eyelid, but let's get this bit out of the way first before I get carried away with those bits. Okay, so let's just push these around, give that a bit more of a shape. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to hide the eyeball for a minute. I'll just see where we are. Okay, we're pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to add, I'm going to fill the hole. I'm going to grab that like so. I'm going to extrude that back, or inwards and then back. Like so, and then we'll do another one. Okay, and then we'll just delete that. See where our eye is. So this will give us some thickness to the eye itself, and again, as you can see, it will need a tweak. So let's get this all tidied up. And what we'll do is we'll bring that forward, push that back a little bit more. Same with this one. And what we'll do with that there, we'll keep that there, because what we'll do, what we'll do later on is we'll add a tear duct to this area. So we'll just widen that ever so slightly. Okay, like so. Okay, so that's pretty good. And we'll just bring that up, just round this out, so it's just looking a little bit more even around there, and I think that one there can go up a little bit more. And what we'll do, we'll re-add that loop back through the top of the forehead there. And we'll just jump into our side view. Yep. And we just need to tweak this. There we go. Okay. Okay, so what we want to do now is we're going to find some more geometry, and we'll just go back into the side view just to double check all this. So we need to pull that back just a little bit there and there. And we'll start to round this out just a little bit more. I'll just push that back, and we'll add another loop just on here. Like so. So we've got a bit of a brow just over the top of that eye. Just in there. In fact, let's bring it forward just a bit more. There we go. So that's better. I'm just going to close that up a little bit more. And what we can do now, I think, is just extend that forward a bit more. Again, I'm just adjusting it ever so slightly just so it looks right, because everything can look really good in 2D, but once you get into 3D, things can change a little bit. It's not as easy as it should be. These things do happen. It happens even on film production. Stuff that looks great on paper may not necessarily look good in 3D, so if you do happen to get to work in the industry, you'll find these things out if you are a modeler, and some things do change accordingly. But so you have to be ready for certain changes with stuff. Okay, so we're going to grab this and I'm going to make another loop just on the eye there. And we'll start to round this out a bit more, like so. Okay, so what we can do now is we'll leave that there, and what we'll do is we'll start to cut in the mouth area. Let's just have a quick look at that on smooth. So that bit there can come forwards. And this one as well. There we go. Let's just thicken these eye lids up just a little bit more. Just bring things forward. And again, just be aware when you're doing this, because what you do in the smooth view is going to have an adverse effect when you go back to your base view. So if we have a look now, you can see that that's had quite an effect there. So again, just go in and tweak it and just add a little bit more there. Okay, so I'm just going to hide the eye just for a minute. Okay, like so. And there as well. Okay. So let's put the eye back up. Okay, so that's good for a rough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the mouth in, and we are going to go straight in. Jump into our front view. I'm going to go by this view here, the one on the left of the screen, not the smiley bit. So we'll just give it a sort of an idea as to where we need to go. Okay, something around there. And what I'll do is I'll get rid of those faces as well. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to add another loop. Actually, we'll cut that right around. We'll start that one there. That one there. Okay, like so. And then what we can do is bring a loop from the eye there. And we're just going to move that round. So it makes it rounder, beg your pardon. And then we're going to just move this stuff across and make this into a bit more of a shape. There as well. Okay. Then let's grab that. Let's join this up. I'm not too concerned about all of these at the moment. So, and then what we can do is we can grab this and do that. We'll do the same. Actually, we'll leave that for a minute. So then that becomes part of that. Okay, come on. There we go. That's better. Like so. And now we can start to get the edge loop around the mouth into place now. And now what we need to do is grab the split poly tool. I keep forgetting where that is today. So we're just going to grab that and run that all the way around the back here for now. Okay, like so. And then we're going to put another one there. And I never like to leave the mouth pointed like that. I never do that with any of my characters that I've done. I usually like to make sure that we've got a quad or two there. And again, we've got this triangle here. We'll get rid of that very shortly. And then let's just leave that for a moment. Just there, and then we can begin to run this down here. And oops, something's going on there, something a bit funky. Let's go again. And what we can actually do is bring a loop just across there, like so. Grab that and delete that there, and then let's have a look at this, see what we've got. Okay, so let's space these out a little bit more. We've got two 5-siders there, which we can get rid of. Let's just shape this a bit. Let's start putting his chin in. And just bring these forward. Okay, so I'm going to start to join a few things up, and probably going to look a bit awkward here and there for a bit, but I'm going to grab that and just put that down to there. That's fine. And we'll grab this guy and that guy, and we're just going to slide him along to about there. That's fine for now. Okay, like so. So all we need to do is sort this one out, and we'll just move these around. And let's just pick those, grab those, and slide those along. About there, I think. Okay, and we'll do the same with those. We'll do that there. We can join that up, and we can run another loop through and down. So we can grab that and pop that there. Okay, so like that. Grab that, get rid of that. Then like so. Okay, so we've got a little bit of shaping to do now. Just now that these loops are all in place for the moment. All subject to change, of course. Okay, so I'll just grab that. I'll just push these guys up a little bit as well, give them a little bit of more room, so we can add some loops in now around the mouth area, and we'll just shape this up a little bit more, and we can grab those edges there, and we can push those up to give these a bit more room as well. Okay, about there. That's good so far. So what I'd like to do now is let's put some loops in, just on here. And let's just start to round it out just a little bit. Okay, so it's just getting the forms correct as we go, and what we can do is just do that. And now I'm going to add another set of loops manually this time. So we're going to come around and come through there, around there. So as you can see, we've got this triangle. We can deal with that very shortly. First of all, we'll just carry on shaping this up. Okay, so let's push that back ever so slightly there, and we'll pull these forward. Okay, just figuring out in my mind where to put that next set of loops. Let's have a look. I could probably join that to there. Let's have a look. Run through there. Let's get rid of that one for a minute. Okay. Okay, so just a little bit more shaping to do. We'll just get the mouth filled in as well. We'll put a cavity type thing there just for now, just to extrude that back, and we'll carry on shaping and adding bits and pieces in the next section. So let's just round this particular chapter off, if you'll pardon the expression, as we round off the mouth. And let's just grab that, put that in there like so, and we'll just put this chin back a little bit, just trying to sort of humanize it just a little bit as well, just so we can see, you know, some good features, or hopefully some good features later on as well. So the geometry is there, so we can add the extra detail for the when we come to do some ZBrush work on it as well. So, you know, just keeping the shapes sort of more human as well. Okay, so we want a loop in there, another one there as well, so we can begin to shape it all up just a little bit. I'll just do this very quickly, and then we'll jump in and get that mouth done. Let's just pull that down. Push that back, and we'll push that back as well. Okay, so we're going to grab these edges like so. Now I'm just going to do an extrude. We'll do inwards. Whoops. Let's just center that up. And I'm just going to push that back, and we'll close that up like this. And we'll just scale that across, and then just push that back like so. So we've got the start of the lips, if you like, for this. And we'll just pull these forwards ever so slightly. And we'll put that little dent just in there that we all have. I'll just bring that back in as well. Okay, and we'll add another loop like so, and we'll just round all this out. And I'll just give the mouth a little bit of shape. Like so. let's see where we're at. So we're pretty good, it's not too bad. So I'm just going to move this just a little bit further back. I know he's smiling on our reference, but by just bring that back ever so slightly, I'm using the B key there to call up the soft mod tool while I was working there, so I'll just show you that, just to grab a whole load and just get it all to be a bit smoother while I'm moving things around in big bunches. So that's all I did there, and let's just drop that down there like so. Okay, so let's just hit 3, see how we're getting on. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. We're not too bad. Let's just pull that forward, just ever so slightly, and then we'll just push in the cheek areas a little bit more, and then we'll start to pull things around like so. Just giving those hallowed sort of cheeks, and we'll just push the mesh forwards around here. Okay, so just going to go back to our base level mesh here and just give it a bit of a tweak. I think we can still use a little bit more geometry here and there, but for now what we'll do, we'll just, before we end this chapter, we'll create a duplicate special across the X axis. We'll just do an instance, -1 instance, and apply that so we can see how we're going. And he's looking pretty good, and there he is so far. So that's the beginning of the head. We've still got a fair bit to do. We need to sort this geometry out under here for the neck, so we can attach it all to the body and stuff. So we're getting all the nice little bits of detail there as well. I'm going to try and build in as much as possible before we go into ZBrush, so you know, we don't have to push and pull around too much. All we need to do is just sort of add some nice little skin textures and skin deformations and stuff like that for this. So we're going to end this chapter here, and we'll carry on in the next section. So cheers for now. Okay, so moving swiftly on, we're going to carry on from where we left off, and that's just going to carry on sort of chiseling away at the face here and making a few more cuts just to get some sort of more definition in the face before we start to join it up to the body on the neck area, and begin on the other bits and pieces. Okay, so first of all we're going to get rid of a little bit of history there, and then we're going to just move in to this area here, and I'm just going to start to just move it around just a little bit more, and really just start to tidy it up a little bit as well. And I'm just going to go into base mode, okay, like so, and I want to start to give these features to our character. Okay, so we just start to move things around. As you can see, he's got this sort of light area here on the face, so we're just going to attempt to put that in a bit more, but keeping the forms nice and round at the same time. Okay, so we can just pull this stuff around. And again, we'll just do it here as well. And I'm just looking to see if we can afford to, I think we can run another loop just around the face again. Just so we've got a little bit more to play with. I think we can do that. Okay, let's just round all this off. Okay, so you can see here the verts are slightly off in terms of being centre. And what we can do, we've got two ways we can sort that out. So what we can do, we can grab those all the way down there, like so. Just make sure we've got all the correct verts. Yes, we have. One way is to scale everything, and then obviously move it around like that. Or the other way is you can go up here and go to absolute transform, and we want to do this on the X, so just type in 0 and there you go. It will just center those verts back up, so you can use that to your advantage there on that command. So it's very useful, and it will do that in any of the coordinates that you've got some verts laying a bit offset. So just set those to 0 or wherever you need to. Okay, so what have we got? Okay, so what I'd like to do is just cut this sort of edge that's going in around here. So we're going to just we can afford to put this set of loops in, and I'm just going to run it all the way around to there for now. Whoops, that didn't join up. So we want to grab that. Okay, so we can eliminate that guy, like so. And what I think we can do as well is add another edge loop through the eye there, just so we can get a bit more shape as well for that. Like so. I'm not too worried about that triangle at the moment. So let's just start to round this area off just a little bit, and then what we can do is, you may have seen me do this before, is just snap that back to there, and we'll merge the verts on that one, and we can do the same on this one. There we go, like so. And then we'll just start to bring things around a bit more. So, and again, we can do that on here as well. I'm just going to merge that up. There we go, like so. Okay, and we need to do that one as well. Okay, and just double check there's no leftover faces, which is all pretty good. Okay, and that's good to go there. And we've got this one here. So again, just merge those up. That's all good. Okay, so let's start to shape this a little bit now. And we'll just run this all the way back. So a little bit of tweaking. Excuse me. So just start to get all this to come around a little bit more as well. Like so. And what I think we can do is we can just push these around just a little bit more. And what I will do is, let's just have a quick look at this. Just want to get some more geometry in here. And under there. That's good to go there. And then what we can do is go to our edges and just slide this back a little bit. Okay, let's just have a look, see what I've got here. That's the thing with modelling like this, you have to do it all on the fly, which is not a problem. So what we can do is run that one up through there. There you go. So that can go there like so. That's good. So then we can get rid of that. Okay, so that's good. And then what we can do, whoops, just cutting through the image plane there. Let's just squeeze this back a little bit more. Let's go into a side view. So it's not getting too bad. And again, just tidy up the mesh as you go. Oops. Okay. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. Now we'll just jump back into our perspective. And what I think we can do is we'll just move that up ever so slightly again. And we'll run another one just through here. Slide that upwards. Scan it out a bit more. And just balance out the polys there, which is good. Happy with that. Excellent. Okay. So the thing with this, I just want to give it a good tidy up because we're going to start to join things up very shortly, and then we may have to add and take out geometry as we go and figure out a few edge loops, stuff like that. And what I'm going to do now is just going to close this mouth up ever so slightly, giving it a little bit of shape. Like so. So that's okay. Whoops, wrong one. Okay. So I just want to close the corner of these lips up, excuse me again. So just close this up, that's pretty good. And just start to just give this a bit of a tweak all around here now. There we go. And we'll push this one back in. some cheeks as well. I'll just bring that round and across. I think one of the previous chapters I did mention the average vertices command. It might be an ideal time actually to show you what that can actually do. It gives an average value distance between each vert to make it smooth. I'll just show you what it can do actually. So let's say for instance here it's a bit bunched up and we want to get it a bit more smoother without keep pulling and picking at points and stuff like that. So what you can do is grab a set of verts, if you like, let's say there for example, and we'll go to our polygon menu and we'll go to mesh and go to average vertices. We'll just leave it, we'll just reset that, that's fine. If we go apply, you can see that smooth that out and giving it an average between each one, and you can apply this until you're happy, like so. So I'm just going to leave it on there for now. Okay, so and then we'll just round out these forms around the eye. Okay, so we'll just make this all nice, and then we'll get to work on getting this attached to the body. And I would like actually to put a small ear hole in the side of the head as well. We're just going to give him something sort of alien. You can see it just there on the image. It's nothing too drastic. It's neither here nor there really, but it's just something that will resemble an ear of sorts. And again, we can go in and sculpt it up a little bit better once we get into ZBrush. Okay, so let's just carry on rounding this a little bit more, and let's just push that back there. So I'm just going to add a couple more loops as well, and we'll just bring these down ever so slightly there. Okay, let's just get this rounded out nicely, and then what I think we can do is add another couple of loops, or maybe one. I think, let's have a look, let's see how we go. So I'm going to run one around here, so I think let's see how we get on there. So we'll run one there, so that's pretty good. The other thing as well, it's useful to sort of get a good balance of polys and stuff, because when you come to do UV mapping and stuff like that, it's always good to have an average sort of amount, if you like, not too much, not too little, so otherwise you could end up with a lot of stretching or be there all day pulling and pushing your UVs around. So it's always good to sort of optimize the mesh a bit more. So we'll just push that around a little bit there. And let's just get that to okay, so let's see how we're looking. Excuse me again. Let's see how we're looking in our smooth preview. Okay, that's not too bad. So okay, let's add a couple of loops. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay. And let's also put one there as well. And we'll just scale that up just a little bit. And bring that forward. Just to give it a little bit more definition around that eye. Okay, that's not too bad. Actually, let's take that last one out. That's better. Okay. And slide that back there like that, that's better. Okay, we need to give him a bit more character, I think. So I think what I need to do is just start to push this stuff here around. Okay, let's push these sort of jowly bits forward. Like so. And then what we can do is just begin to smooth these smaller areas out as well. And what I'm going to do is actually have a look at these with the normals hardened, and then we're just going to jump back and forth, I think now, and we'll get that neck area sorted out. So let's begin to shape this guy up at the back. Let's do this now. There we go. So that's a bit better, and we can squeeze another loop in. Or in fact, we can get another 2 in there just to make that just right. Okay, like so. And again, we just need to round a few bits and pieces out. There we go. Okay, so I need to get this all done. Let's just grab some of these edges. Sometimes it's a lot quicker to pull the edges around. Actually, let's just do that along there, and we'll just jump back to our verts. Okay. Let's just grab those edges there, and we'll just slide that just around. And what we can do is we can get our trusty sculpting tool, and what we'll do is we'll just take off the reflection, because we don't want reflection on, because we're already using an instanced anyway. So just going to, whoops, that's too much. And we're just going to smooth this out ever so slightly. And again, just take that right down. And let's do relaxed. Is that relaxed? Just relax these polys. So as I was saying before, use all the tools to your advantage. That's what they're there for. It will help you get stuff done. a lot quicker. Okay, so that's not too bad. So a little bit lumpy just there. Let's put that on a smooth. Okay, so just leaves that guy there. So we'll just move him manually, bring him back up to about there, and just pull this, whoops, and just move this around. And again, we'll jump back into our front view and just hit 0. There we go. So he is all ready, I think, ready now to put back on the body. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll get rid of that, and I've got some commands. Just going to do show all, so we bring back up the body for our character, and let's see how we get on. So first of all, we're going to start to do a little bit of snapping, and let's just put on our wireframe as well. So and there. One on there. Okay, so as you can see, we've got an extra loop left over, which isn't a bad thing actually, because we've got all this space, and that's worked out very well actually. I'm quite happy about that. So what we'll do, we'll just slide that guy just across, like so. We'll just move that there, and we'll snap his neck vert there, which is good, and we'll drop in another edge loop on the face there, and that should do that just right. There we go. So now what we can do is combine the two together, and we can now merge those verts. There we go. So all we need to do now is just start to round it all out, and hopefully it should all start to look a bit more like a character. Okay, so with that done, let's tune this up. Let's just bring these down, these jaws and stuff. So it's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is actually bring that back a little bit more, just to there, and begin to round that out just under the here. Okay, so actually before I cut in some more loops, let's do a little bit of shaping. I wasn't actually going to get into the shaping of this until the next couple of sections, but while we're here we may as well start to do that with this particular bit. Okay, and then we can begin rounding all these areas out as well. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, so that's rounded that out quite well. Let's just have a look, see how we're looking, and we'll just take off our wireframe, I think. Okay, so where are we? Let's have a look, see where we're at. Okay, so we've got a few little odds and sods going on in there. So I think what we can do is I'm actually going to take that loop out for now. And there it is there, we'll just take that out. And again, we'll have a look, so that's better. Okay. So as you can see, he's still very square. So what we can do in the next section is we can start to sort of round the areas out, get a bit more definition put in there. But before we do that, let's get some more geometry put in. And maybe a little bit just under there. And a bit more there. And let's just drag that to about there. Okay. Okay, so, and again, I'm just going to use a little bit of smoothing on here just to get it into shape a little bit more. Okay, so areas like this, I really would like to get this sorted actually while we're under there. Not too keen on the geometry, the way that's doing that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in a couple of loops, so I go right round off of here, like so, and then we can join that back up there. I just don't like the way that immediately comes off of the base of the neck there and does what it was doing. It's like, that's better, and we'll do the same with this one here. Okay, like so. Okay. And then let's just grab that edge. Just going to slide that down just a little bit. Whoops. And that one. Slide that back up. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Let's just have a look at this bit here. See if we can get rid of anything there. Okay, and then we can start to bring that out a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to lose that edge all the way there, and bring that one round, and let's just put that about there, and then this one we'll bring that to about, whoops, let's just slide that, and then we'll move that. Okay, that's better. And then that edge and that edge. Okay. That one and that one. Whoops. Okay, there we go. That's better. Good. So now for the side, let's just see where. Let's just hide that camera. So let's make an area where we can just put a little hole in for the ear. So I think around here is going to be fine. Let's just pull that back there a little bit and bring that up. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll do something very similar to what we did with the ankle. So I'm just going to cut in a small area like so. And we'll just do this for now. And then what we can do is just shape this up so it's rounder rather. Okay, like so. Let's just pull this down, it's a bit too stretched this here. Okay, so just going to run in another edge loop. Okay. And then what we'll do, we'll just extrude that in. And then, oops. We'll extrude that off to the side there, like so. In fact, we'll just push that in a little bit more. Okay. And then we'll just do this. And we'll do another one. And what we'll do, we'll bring that out slightly as well. So now should have this sort of alien type ear hole. So that's good enough for me for that. That's and the rest we can add wrinkles and lumps and bumps to that once we jump into ZBrush. So we're going to round that chapter off here, and then in the next section we'll start to round this out and start to tidy up all the geometry that's left, some 5-siders and stuff from the earlier foot chapter, and then we can start to really make this sort of pop now in the next few sections. So I will speak to you then. Cheers for now. Okay, so welcome to part 6. We're going to begin this particular section by sort of tidying up the foot area and start to round out some of the forms now. And we're going to cover this over the next few sections. We'll probably add a bit more geometry just to shape out a little bit more of this character so it ends up a bit more like our concept sketch. So without further ado, we're going to delete some history, and we don't need the camera planes, not for this particular section anyway, so I'm just going to hide those out. So right click on the mesh, and we're going to hit F just to frame up just a little bit more. Okay, so what we're going to do, we need to tidy this geometry up and just basically sort it all out and get it all to sort of terminate in a nice kind of way. So I think what we'll do, we'll start on the underside just here, and what we'll do, we'll grab that edge there and the following edges there, I think, like so, and what we'll do, we'll get rid of those like so, and we'll get rid of that one as well. Okay, and what we can do is begin to move a few little bits and pieces around. Let's just do that. Okay, and then this one we're going to grab the split poly tool, so we're just going to join that one back up, and the same with that one, because if you recall, this one came down and went and looped around there, and then we can grab this guy just here, and we can just move that back a little bit more, and I think what we can do, we can afford to deselect that one, squeeze these a little bit more, like so, and that's pretty good, just there. Okay, and that one there, and just round these toes out ever so slightly, and what I think we need to do is add another one there. Okay, so let's get back on to the underside, and we're going to get our loops. We're going to take these all the way up to the end here, and I'm going to do the same with this side. Okay, like so, and we can grab this one and put that there, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this one away like so. Okay, we're going to grab that, we're going to delete that one, but we're going to reconnect that one with that one, move this across like so. Okay, and then I'm going to start to put these in around here. Okay, like that. Okay, so I think let's just move these up to about there, and we'll grab this area, and we'll just move these across ever so slightly. Whoops. Just move those like so, and what we'll do, actually we'll get rid of that. Let's see what we can get away with here. Okay, so this area is not going to deform, so what I suggest is we put these in like so. Okay, and we'll join those up to there. Let's just hide this grid, don't need that at the moment. And what I can do is, once I can, that's better, and then we can start to move these around and about, and if you can see that already, what we can do, this has actually worked out quite well, and we can snap that to there like so, and we can merge that, and again we can do the same here, and we can merge that. So that one's good. So that one's kind of terminated, and all we need to do now is just run the rest of these all the way up to the top of the body here. So we'll do that first. We'll just quickly jump in and fix this foot up because it's a bit messy at the moment. So we'll just round this guy out, and then we'll jump in and get the rest of that one terminated at the top there. Okay, so just going to round this out. Okay. So as I said before, do sort of tidy it up as you go along. As soon as you start adding the detail, it'll make life a lot easier for you. So it's always worth bearing in mind. Just tweak it as much as you can before moving along. Okay, so let's just round this guy out a bit more. Whoops. And start to put that tendon in on the back of the ankle and stuff, and we'll just start to push things around. And again, we'll do the same with the top of the foot here very shortly, but first we'll just get all this tuned up a little bit better so it's a bit more tidier and heading to where we really want to go with the character. Whoops, let's just round this out, and we'll just push that one back in. I think we don't need that one right out like that, and we'll start to round off the arch of the foot a little bit more. And around here. Okay, that's good. And we'll just hire this one. Whoops. Let's just get it all rounded out. Okay, I'm going to hit 3 on the keyboard just to see how it's looking. Yeah, it's not too bad. Still a little bit square in areas, so we'll continue to refine that. Some of you will probably want to fast forward this point because I really want to just tidy it up in these sections. Obviously there is going to be bits where we're going to change the actual mesh itself, so do be aware of that before you do start whizzing through the video if it comes to it. So I think that's pretty good, and we'll just round that, and we'll just spread these out just a little bit on the bottom, and the same with that one. Okay, and then we'll just start to spread these out. Whoops. Okay. And then just a little bit of form to the side of this. Okay. And again, just moving up ever so slightly towards the middle of the calf. I beg your pardon. Got a bit tongue-tied there. So let's just tweak this, and we'll move these across as well. And we'll just begin to push this into a calf shape. Sorry, I keep breaking off as I talk there. It's because I'm concentrating on what I'm doing as well at the same time. So you'll have to bear with me if I do break off. Okay, so we'll go into here, and we're going to do a very similar thing like we did a minute ago with the back of and the underside of the foot and the leg. So I'm just going to move this stuff across like so. And actually, let's just do a huge loop, grab the whole loop, and we'll cut that off about there and there from the underside of the neck. We don't want that bit, and we'll get rid of that one and that one. And then just going to shuffle these across ever so slightly. Okay, like so. And then what we can do is we'll do exactly what we did. As I said, we'll just run this up all the way to here, and then I'll stop that there for now. And what we can do is grab these guys and do exactly the same. There we go. Okay, and without leaving any tries. Okay, like so. So that's all done. And now all we need to do is just shape the foot out. And we'll just work our way all the way around the leg as well. So again, just really shaping and stuff. And here we go. So just going to bring this all around and in. Okay, so before I carry on doing all of that, let's just get this just slightly tidier there and there. Okay, so what I want to do is we're going to run a loop all the way from the back of that, all the way out that calf, all the way to the back of the neck, and we'll terminate that up towards the top. So we'll do that right now. So we're going to run it all the way up the back here and through here, and then we're going to end it around here somewhere. If you feel in the back of your own skull, we have a slight indentation in that sort of area, so this is going to be absolutely ideal for that particular bit. So I'm just going to run this all the way up. I'm not really concerned about any other loops and stuff at the moment, so we'll just run this as is. There's plenty of other stuff to be getting on with at the moment, so we can end that there and just put that on there like so. And again, just give it a bit of a tweak. There we go. Okay, so that one works out quite nicely there. And we'll just grab a couple of these edges just to spread them out a little bit more. Let's just get rid of those. Okay, and we'll just move that across like so. And the same with those, we'll just shuffle those across ever so slightly. So that's better there. Okay, so that's pretty much done for those loops to be terminated. Now all we need to do is get this leg whipped into shape before the end of the chapter. So once this is done, then we can move on to the rest of the body and stuff. So let's get this moving along nicely if we can. Okay, so I'm just going to push this back, give it that sort of front of the calf as well sort of look. I'm just going to bulge that out ever so slightly. Just tweak these bits in and around. And again, push in and pull in these polys and points. Okay. So again, I could use the sculpt polygon tool, but I'm not going to at this moment in time. I just want to really get these into a certain position before smoothing bits and pieces out, because that particular tool won't enable me to get an exact position on stuff. So by doing it manually at the moment, it's going to be a little bit more accurate for our needs. We'll just take this back in just a little bit, because we're going to add geometry and stuff around here later. Okay, so let's just pull this around like so. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And now we'll start to pull this back and push it in a little bit. Let's just grab these. Sometimes grabbing the edges is actually quicker than actually point pulling. So do try and use that method as well. Grab the edges, not just the verts all the time. Sometimes you can just grab huge sort of areas. Whoops. You can grab a huge area of them and just you can change the form instantly. Without keep going in. I know I'm using this using the verts a lot, but sometimes you can just grab all of the group of edges and just do all in one go, depending on what you're doing, of course. Okay, so let's just bulge this back of the leg out just a little bit more. Okay, like so. Okay, so what we need to do now is jump in and work out the front of the geometry here for the leg. I'm just going to round out the form a little bit more on this, just here at the back as well, so it looks like it needs it, and just around down here. I think that's losing it ever so slightly there, and just here. Okay, that's looking pretty good now. That's better. Okay, so we're going to chuck in a little bit more geo just to go out the front of the leg here, and what we'll need to do is work out what we're going to do once we get to this point. So I think what we can do, looking at it, I think we can afford, let's just run a loop through there. And we'll join that up as well, coming through here. So it's a little bit more geometry to play with. And also let's just round that out a little bit more. Like so. We want to keep a little bit of definition there for the knee. Which we will add another loop. As I'm looking at it, I can see we need another one, which can go straight through the middle, like so. So we can round that out a little bit more as well. So I'm just going to refine this area just a little bit more. Okay, I'll leave that bit there for now, and what we'll do, we'll go up and start to tidy up the geometry where that hip is, where we just left off a second ago. And what I think as well, we could add in, need another loop just in there, and what we can do as well is just push that back ever so slightly, and we'll just grab this whole lot and we'll move them down. Let's just square them up a little bit more, and we'll just move those down to about there. That's better. Okay, so that's getting into a good shape. It's going where we need it to go. Okay, let's just jump back in there. Okay, so let's figure this bit out. So really what I'd like to do is get everything to sort of start to come round this kind of area, and I think what we need to do is grab our split poly tool, and we'll just start cutting. Whoops, it's not going to work that way. And we'll just cut that there like so. Okay, let's see what we need to do. And I think what we can do, where are we? Let's have a look here. Okay, so let's move that to about there. Get rid of that. Grab that one. Get rid of that. And I'm just going to widen this just so we've got a little bit of area to work with. Just going to do that there like so for now. And I'm going to grab these guys. I'm going to move that all the way around there. So that is now that's kind of sorted at the front, and then we can just go all the way along under here. And then the front area just here, we can do that, and then grab these, just move these up, just to space everything out now really, just so we've got a bit of a balance. Okay, so we've got a nice sort of hip area going on, and of course we're going to need to put some buttocks in there. So what we'll do is we'll grab that, delete that like so, and I'll join that one up with that one. Hopefully that should work. Yes, it does. And then those guys can come around there like so, and then hopefully all we need to do is join these guys up. Job done. There we go. So let's get it all four-sider, I beg your pardon. Mistakes are made. So there we go. That's kept that nice and tidy. So all we have to do now is really sort of put everything back and tidy it up. Okay, so let's just grab these, and I'll just, oh, we haven't done that bit there, have we? We need to join that up there, of course. So I may need to put in an extra loop just for this one. Okay, so let's figure this one out, so we can get rid of this. So another little problem. So let's grab that. Okay, and I think we need to really run that back up to there, like so. And let's see how we can fix this. Let's have a look. Let's grab that. Okay. So we've got, just trying to match it really to the front, just to see how we go. Okay, so we can rejoin that up, like so. And what I'll do is just run this back up, so that should be there, that's fine. Okay. Okay, right. And then, how many have we got there? We got that one, and that one. We need to grab that. Let's just get rid of these. Okay, so we can join that one up and that one. Okay. And that should do that for now. Okay, let's have a look at that. Da, 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 da. Good, that's good. That one comes round under and over there, and that one can come down. Great, so that works that one out pretty good now. So a slight hiccup there in my look and in my quest for perfection now on the mesh. So hopefully that should optimize that quite well now. And hopefully what we can do is just begin to shape this up. Okay, so thank goodness no polys have been harmed, so we can carry on. Okay, so we're going to just run that into there like so for now, and let's round this all out. And just jump into our front view and just get rid of the cameras. Okay, so we can start to just grab these. Actually, let's use the scale tool to just scale these inwards, just to keep everything in line just while we put everything back, like so. And we just move these all across. Okay, so let's just pop all this lot round. Okay, and we'll just grab these like so. just pop those back there like so, and we'll just put that there. Okay, so now all that leaves us to do is just start to round everything out, form it all up. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, there. And there. Okay, right. And that. So we just need to round out. Oops, grab another one. I don't want to. Okay, so we'll just grab the areas here and just grab that bit of his butt, and we'll just move this around just to start to form this out. What we'll do as we go along as well, we'll start to spin some faces so the loops and stuff have a nice edge flow. So at the moment it's okay, but I think what we can do is make it better as we go along. So let's just finish tidying this for the camera, and in the next section we'll just carry on rounding out some forms, and hopefully we'll start be able to put in extra sort of body detail, stuff like that, just to make the character a little bit more interesting, and then hopefully following those all the chapters that have helped form this out, we can then get onto modelling a little bit of clothing, which is going to be pretty straightforward in comparison. Yeah, so I think for now we'll just finish this little bits off here, and we'll just start to round the whole chapter off. Okay, so that's there. And also we do need to add a few more loops. Just looking at this leg, you know, we do need a couple more, despite the fact that it's good to model at easy resolutions and stuff, but we will need them anyway. We'll need those extra loops for the UV mapping and stuff like that later on, so we want to keep a nice balance. We don't, like I said before, we don't want stretching, and we don't want, you know, too many UVs to move around if we do have any problems. So it's a fine balance. So let's just round that off, and we'll just push this forward ever so slightly, just a bit more. Okay, like so. Okay, so I think let's just move that down to about there. That's fine. Okay, and we just need to sort this out just a little bit on here. So that's pretty good. Okay, and just on here as well, so just double checking everything. You know, if it looks too square, just pull it around a little bit more. I think that will probably require a little bit more tune up on that. So I'm just going to pull this up and in there, and we'll shrink that down into there. So that's pretty good. Okay, like so. And we'll just sort of round stuff, give a little bit of definition as well. Okay, so we'll grab the ankle there and the ankle just on the outside here. That's okay, and then we'll just push in these areas for the heel or the Achilles tendon. and always make sure, go back to 1 just to check what the mesh is doing. As you can see there, it's probably a little bit too far with that one, so always double check what you're doing with that sort of thing. Okay, that's pretty good there. That's okay for now. I think what we can do is just tune that just ever so slightly. Same with this one here and here, and we can pull that knee just back a little bit, then on the front of it, just there, we'll bring those both out, and that's not too bad there, and we'll just put that up around there. Okay, that's good. And 2 more loops, so 1 there and 1 there. So that finishes that off quite nicely. And again, just a little bit of form. Let's just push those out just a little bit there. Okay. And what we can do is just slowly push these back up. And we can just round this out just here. Okay. Okay. So that should cover that for now. What I think we will do is round some areas out for that part of the buttock area, and we'll make sure that the form is correct for that. And for the next chapter, it's going to be more or less more of the same, but we're going to be working on the upper body and around the chest, and we'll get some sort of definition for the muscles and stuff on the back for the shoulder blades and stuff like that. So we're going to round that chapter off there, and I shall see you in part 7. Cheers for now. Okay, so moving on from last time, we did the leg. I said we're going to go up do the body, but I think what we can do is finish the arm off first, and then we'll work on the body afterwards, because I want to add some extra geometry here to help with the arms and stuff as well, and along here, and then we'll jump into the body and then hopefully start to refine all this stuff as well in the next section. Okay, so let's jump straight onto the shoulder, and we're just going to round out all the forms and stuff like that. So because what I'd like to do as well is actually add the clavicle sort of area just up here as well, which we'll do in the next section for the body. And I'm just going to move this stuff up here at the back. Okay, it's back of the neck there, that's good. And just going to move this around a little bit more. And we'll start to bring these down and these ones up. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's get some roundness on this area. Like so, it's not too bad. And then we'll just start to bring a few little bits up and around. And then what I like to do is if we can just get this to sort of round off a little bit more at the back here. Just lower this ever so slightly. that's not too bad. Let's just pull that out a little bit. Okay. It's looking a bit better. Okay, so what we'll probably do for the next section, I want to start to add sort of like a clavicle and stuff for this area. Not too much, but something that's going to look half decent for our model. But first of all, let's get the rest of the arm done. And we'll just bring this down. Just round it out ever so slightly. Like so. That's pretty good. So we'll just check on our keyboard. We'll hit 3 for smoothing. And we'll just pull this around a little bit more. And we'll just push this out just a little bit on the back. Okay. Okay, so now just want to add a bit of geometry through there. And again, more shaping out. As I said, you know, this section, or the next few sections, are probably a little bit tedious, but you know, these are the bits that do make or break your characters when you start to refine or add extra geometry to help it along the way. So it's always worth just persevering with this sort of thing and having a look through, even if you're just scrubbing through the timeline just to get to something a bit more interesting. Okay, let's put that there, and I'll just push that there, and then we can jump back on the arm. Okay, so let's grab that one. And that one. And we'll just start to round it out a little bit more. Okay. And again, these areas here on the hand and the wrist and stuff, we can start to do as well. Okay. Okay, so let's just see what we can do with a few of these polys and a few of these vertex. Okay. So that's our elbow sort of area, just sort of there, just on the back of here. And what I'd like to do is try and give that a little bit more form as well if we can, but that bit there needs to be sorted out just a little bit more. Let's see how we go. Just round it out. Ah, there's one. Okay, so just balance this out a little bit more. As you can see, it's a little bit cramped just in there. So we'll just push all this around just a bit. Okay. So we can just pull that up. That's better. And in fact, what I'm going to do, this area here, you can see this, I think this sort of type of geometry will be quite ideal for our elbow area, which should be actually here. So what I'm going to do is just basically take these out from there, like so, and we're just going to move the geometry up one, if you like, and then we'll cut some extra geo in just around that area. So we'll do that to about there, like so. There we go. Okay, so it might be worth giving that a try, see how that goes. So it'll help with the deformation, I think, just by adding that kind of area there. And what we will do is add another loop or two through this area, like so, and we'll have one there, and we'll add one there as well. Okay, so we can start to round that out a little bit more. Whoops, there we go. So we can really get some form on these arms now. Okay, and we want some more just on the wrist here. Okay, so let's move it all around a little bit, give it a bit more shape, make it a bit more interesting visually as well. Okay. Let's just move these just along a little bit. And just move that back ever so slightly, just there. Okay, so I'm just going to define this just a little bit more on the elbow area, just so it gives us a little bit more to play with here. Okay, now we'll just move all this along, just give it a little bit of a tickle. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into a top view, and what I'm going to do is just going to start to just pull these around just a little bit more in big chunks. Like so. And this one here, I'm actually going to push back just a little bit. Okay, like so. Just make that little bit of baggy skin on the elbow. Like so, that's not too bad. And let's just tidy this mesh ever so slightly, just to keep it in order. Like so. That's better. Okay. Let's see how we're looking. And let's just come into a front view. So I'm just going to widen this down just a tiny bit more, just there. And we'll take that up. Just bring that down just a bit. That's better. So that's looking much nicer. Okay, so let's work on this bicep area. Let's just move this along a little bit. Let's just, what's going on there? That's not too bad, I suppose. Okay. So what we need to do, we're going to put in a bicep muscle for this. So we're going to make an edge loop cut there, and do another one there. I'm just going to straighten these out, just so it helps us a little bit while we do this. In fact, what we'll do is get rid of that, and actually we'll get rid of those. And what we'll do, let's have a look. Let's just do an extrude instead, like so. And then what we can do is just push that out ever so slightly, like so. In fact, let's go and put one in just there, and then we'll do that again. Okay, and so same again. Bit of an extrude, pull that out. Like so. And then what we can do is put another loop through there. We'll just straighten that out, like so. And again, we can start to shape stuff up. Especially around this area. Okay. Let's just move that back. Whoops. Okay, so that's better now. I'll just pull this back just ever so slightly, and let's bring it down. Let's just round this off. Still needs a little bit of work. And what we'll do, we'll just bring a little bit in there as well. Just bring this back down, just too much pointing up there. Okay, let's have a look at that. So I think what we can do, let's drag that out just a little bit more. And what we can do as well is we'll stick a tricep in the back there. Let's just straighten this up. so. And again, let's just add a little bit more form just to get it looking a bit more organic there. I'll just drop that down just a bit more. See how we're looking. So let's get in there, probably a little bit too big there. So let's go back to there and just smooth this back in. Let's see, we can drop that one round a little bit more just there, like so. That's pretty good. Okay. Just going to smooth these shapes out just a little bit more, so we don't want it to be too harsh in these areas where we've added new geo and stuff. So, you know, we do want a bit of definition, but we don't want it to look out of place, so to speak. And let's just drop that down into there. Rise that one up. And there, that's better. Okay. That's a bit more sensible. That's much nicer. So we're beginning to get a little bit of definition going on now with these arms. And what we'll do, we'll just bring these up ever so slightly just in here. And those as well. Okay, like so. Let's have a look here, what we got. Let's have a look. So I think we can extrude this ever so slightly. Oops. And we'll just push this around a little bit. And what we'll need to do is just spin a few faces, I think, just to get this looking right. So I should have my spin faces script up here somewhere that we can use. And it should be that one or that one. Let's have a look. I'll just jump into my script editor. And we'll just, no, not that one. That's the one I want. So, there we go. Okay, so let's spin these faces around a little bit. In fact, we don't want those. Let's try those too. Just to get some edge flow going, just a little bit more around here. In fact, I think be better off doing it from there. And also we'll grab this end, do those two as well, and we'll point those down. So that it all flows back into itself and this one flows back in along the arm just up there, like so. And that's pretty much good to go, I think. Let's just round this out, round these forms ever so slightly, and I think that's pretty much there. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So we'll just start to push this around a little bit more. Just squeeze that definition out of this just a little bit more. That's the thing with this type of modelling, you know, try and squeeze out as much detail as you can on your base mesh. It was something I did on the last show that I was working on. We didn't really want to do displacement maps. If we could get away with putting in, you know, proper detail with geometry, that's what we were doing. You know, because we were able to render that type of detail without worrying about displacement maps and that kind of thing. So if you can do it and you can get away with it, you know, do it, because it just saves that extra step and jumping to and from another software package as well. So this one is pretty much there, I think. Okay, so let's have a look. Yeah, that's better. It's not a massive difference, but it's there. You can see it's there. So that's pretty good. And we'll just round this area out just a little bit more. And I took it down a little bit earlier, but we'll just put it back in just a little bit more. And the same under here as well. Just under there on the elbow, we'll just tuck that in. That's better. So we've got a little bit more definition going on there. Okay, so it's all looking pretty good. Let's have a look at these hands. I think what we can do is just bring that nail up just a little bit more, drop that down. Let's just frame that up a bit. Now we'll just drop that down and back in a little bit more. Same with that, just by the cuticle there. And then we'll just raise this up a little bit, and we'll just widen that as well. We'll just check, see how that's looking. That's a lot better. Okay, so that's pretty good. Just widen those fingers just a little bit more. And we'll do the same with this one. Okay, so again we'll just drop that down and we'll pull this guy up. Same with this one. And we'll just put these back down into here. Let's also give it a little bit of rounding out just on there. We'll do the same with this one. Okay, so let's just check that. That's not too bad, it's pretty good. Yeah, the thumb is okay. Okay, so we'll leave that chapter there for now. So as you can see, the arm has come along quite nicely. In fact, we can just jump in and just get rid of some of this squareness. But yeah, we're going to call it a day on this chapter now. We'll just quickly give this a tickle, and in the next one we can get on with the actual bodywork and add a little bit more geometry and stuff, and sort of a bit more sort of spinning of faces, I think, and we'll see how we go from there, and then we can move on. So I'll just finish tweaking that hand ever so slightly there, and just on here on the fingers, that's better there, and also here as well. Okay, so let's hit 3, see how we're looking. That's much better by the look of it already. Yeah, that's much nicer. Good. So as you can see, the arm is done, the leg is done pretty much, and yeah, okay, so we'll see you in the next section for the continuation for the body. Cheers for now.